We're about to see the great power apocalypse here in our country, and sadly, not many of us are ready for what's coming. We're getting warnings as early as today that we're going to be seeing power outages in specific states, and oddly enough, some of these states have received millions of illegal immigrants. The NERC, or the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, released an assessment for this year's summer season. The bad news is that it doesn't look good, and it's expected that extreme conditions could cause power-related issues, with the NERC highlighting both California and Texas. Now, besides that, we're also hearing about this plan to lower carbon emissions from the EPA. That would be the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. However, it's kind of hard to imagine an energy grid without the use of certain energy sources. That's because we haven't gotten to a point where the infrastructure for green energy is laid out. And I mean laid out where we can confidently say that it can power the entire nation without the need for fossil fuels. But it seems as if the EPA is in a bit of a hurry to transition to clean energy.
Fossil fuel power plants account for more than 1/4 of all greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S. The Biden administration is trying to crack down on the worst polluters, and that's the remaining coal-powered plants, which emit the most carbon dioxide. The new EPA rules require coal plants to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by 90% by 2039 or close. There are about 200 coal-burning power plants in operation in the U.S., and last year, coal-fired plants generated a little over 16% of the nation's electricity. For more on these rules and the reactions to them, I'm joined by Bloomberg's Jennifer Delowy, who reports on energy and environmental issues. Jennifer, thanks so much for joining the NewsHour. As you know, the coal industry has already been in decline for decades in this country. Will these new rules make an enormous difference when it comes to climate change and public health?
Well, we're already expecting about half of the nation's capacity of coal-fired power to go offline by 2039, which is essentially a stoppage date in this rule as well. So that's already happening. We're already seeing that decline. This rule, however, will encourage more coal plants to close. That's, clearly an expectation here. And it will do that by basically saying that coal plants, if they want to keep running, after January 1st, 2039, will have to be capturing nearly all of their greenhouse gas emissions. And they'll have to start doing that actually by 2032, 7 years earlier. Those systems are expensive. There are utility owners, power plant owners that may decide, it's simply not wise to expend that much money trying to retrofit an existing coal-fired power plant to keep it operating into the 2040s. So this will absolutely hasten coal plant retirements that we're already seeing. And it will affect new natural gas plants that are coming online as well.
Now, again, the NERC is seeing elevated risks between today to at least the year 2028. These rules are expected to close down coal plants by 2032. At least this is what experts are saying, because the cost to retrofit would be too much. It's also expected that the EV and the AI demand will make things much worse for all of us. And since we shouldn't expect new natural gas replacement plants to be built, we now have to settle for other energy sources. Now, a huge issue here is that we're not even sure as to what kind of energy that we're going to be running on a decade from now. And to add to that frenzy, the Biden administration is now releasing 1 million barrels of gasoline from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The goal, according to the White House, is for them to lower gas prices this summer. But here's the catch. They're not going to be able to put the gas back into our reserves. The reason is that gas prices are too high. That's just unbelievable. The logic of our government is just out of this world. But you have to wonder, is this politically motivated? Because more and more Americans are waking up to the fact that high costs that we're dealing with right now, they're because of Joe Biden's administration's policies. Now, going back to 2022, right before the midterm elections, they did something similar. Although President Biden argued with Republicans and said that the SPR release back then had nothing to do with midterm elections. And critics are sure he'd say the same thing right now, that we're just months away from the 2024 presidential elections. Do any of you think that this is politically motivated? Maybe a talking point for the president to say, oh, he lowered gas prices. Projections for our country expect the summer and winter peak to hit over 79 gigawatts to over 90 gigawatts within the next decade. For context, 90 gigawatts is equivalent to adding the entire power generating capacity of California. So it's like adding an entire new state to our country. You also have to consider that if President Biden wins, then those numbers could go even higher. This is because it's expected that the Biden administration would continue to keep our borders open, with millions of illegal immigrants who would then be using our power grid for free. But of course, the EPA wouldn't set these rules without thinking, right? So what would be the backup for our power grids if and when they start to fail? That would be solar and wind energy. Now, if you remember back in 2021, the power grid of Texas crashed because of harsh weather. The winter cold was so brutal that people literally died during this time. And Governor Greg Abbott, he made it very clear that this showed us what would happen if we all went green. During that time, the wind and solar energy in Texas, it got shut down by the winter cold. That was around 10% of the power grid. Now just imagine if Texas relied on this kind of energy for 100% of their power. They'd be driven back to the Stone Age. This narrative, though, was pushed back even though Greg Abbott was clearly talking about a situation where no fossil fuel would be available. But the EPA is saying that solar and wind are reliable enough to be backups for our power grid. And this is not trashing renewable energy. But we have to be realistic with our expectations. The technology behind these renewable energy sources still haven't gotten to a point where they can replace fossil fuels. But the EPA is telling us that this move will reduce the pollution from fossil fuel fired power plants. And this will in turn protect communities from pollution and improve public health. They're also quoted in saying that these new rules will support the long-term reliable supply of electricity that America needs moving forward. Critics say that the EPA is now single-handedly dismantling the reliability of the U.S. electric grid. Many others see it as a reckless plan that would cause fatalities across the nation. And just to inform you guys right now, coal provides 16% of U.S. electricity. Now, we're not sure how they plan on replacing that with renewable energy within the next decade or so, but know that there is a possibility that all of us will be in the dark very soon. But what do you guys think? Will they make advancements within this short period of time to support our power grids? Or should we now expect the Stone Age to make a comeback? All right, guys, so that was the news portion of today's video, but now I would like to introduce you guys to some big news from the sponsor of today's video, Black Box Stocks. On May 16, 2024, Black Box Stocks Incorporated on the NASDAQ under ticker symbol BLBX. They're a financial technology and social media platform known as Black Box, or the company, made several key announcements. So Black Box Stocks provides real-time analytics for stocks and options traders, and they have filed a Form S-4 for its acquisition of EveTech Aluminum Limited. This took place on May 13, 2024. But they also released their financial results for the first quarter, which ended on March 31st, 2024. Filing the Form S-4 marks a very important step for Black Box Stocks' plan to acquire EveTech Aluminum Limited. Once they receive approval from the SEC and NASDAQ, they expect to finalize the merger soon. Now, for the first quarter of 2024, Black Box Stocks reported a total revenue of $649,420. Now, this is a decrease from the $859,004 reported for the same period in 2023. The average number of employees was 2,944, which is 17.2% lower than in the first quarter of 2023, but roughly the same as the fourth quarter of 2023. Operating expenses dropped by 51% from $2.3 million in the first quarter to $1.15 million in the first quarter of 2024. Notably, stock-based compensation decreased significantly from $768,126 in the first quarter of 2023 to $114,666 in the first quarter of 2024. The operating loss decreased by 56% from $1.9 million in the first quarter of 2023 to $863,000 in the first quarter of 2024. Additionally, Black Box Stocks filed a registration statement on Form S-4, which includes an information statement prospectus about the acquisition of EveTech Aluminum Limited on May 13, 2024. Gus Kepler, the chief executive officer of Black Box Stocks, he commented on these developments. He said, quote, significant reduction in our operating loss for the first quarter reflects the stabilization of our membership over the past several quarters within the core business, as well as lower operating expenses, end quote. Kepler also mentioned the upcoming launch of a new portfolio alert product called Stock Nanny, scheduled for June of this year. He highlighted that in the second quarter of 2023, Black Box Stocks acquired 13% of EveTech Automotive Limited, which is the sister company of EveTech Aluminum Limited. They might consider acquiring EveTech Automotive Limited after completing the acquisition of EveTech Aluminum Limited as a part of a larger roll-up strategy. Kepler acknowledged the delays in the acquisition of EveTech Aluminum Limited, but expressed optimism, saying, quote, we are pleased to announce that we have an S-4 filed and are working diligently to complete this transaction. End quote. Now, despite the challenges that were faced in 2023, Kepler remains confident in the company's strategy and operational initiatives for 2024. He reassured stockholders, stating, quote, "I am confident that our stockholders will be well rewarded for their faith in our company." End quote. Now, for more detailed financial data, Black Box Stocks referred to their quarterly report on Form 10-Q filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission on May 15, 2024. So Black Box Stocks is a company that combines financial technology and social media to offer real-time analytics and news for stock and options traders of all levels. So here's how it works and what makes them unique. Black Box Stocks provides its users with real-time proprietary analytics and news. So this means that traders can get up-to-the-minute information and analysis in order to help them make informed decisions about buying and selling stocks and options. The company uses predictive technology enhanced by artificial intelligence or AI to detect volatility and unusual market activity. This technology helps identify situations where the price of a stock or option might change rapidly, giving traders a potential advantage. Black Box Stocks continuously scans major stocks and options markets, including the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, also known as the NYSE, and of course, the Chicago Board Options Exchange, also known as the CBOE. It analyzes over 10,000 stocks and up to 1.5 million options contracts multiple times per second, ensuring comprehensive market coverage. Black Box Stocks integrates a fully interactive social media platform into its dashboard. This allows users to quickly and efficiently share information and ideas through a common network. Recently, Black Box Stocks introduced a live audio-video feature, and so this enables members to broadcast on their own channels, sharing trade strategies and market insights within the Black Box community. Black Box Stocks has a growing user base that spans over 40 countries, indicating its global appeal and reach. The service is offered on a subscription basis with current fees set at $99.97 per month or $959 annually. Now, for those who are interested in learning more or subscribing to the service, more information is available on their website, blackboxstocks.com. By providing powerful tools and a platform for communication, Black Box Stocks aims to support traders in making better, faster decisions in the dynamic world of stock and options trading.